Good morning. Today I want to talk about break-even analysis, and I want to apologize for class Thursday kind of balling it up a little bit in my head and in you guys' minds. The problem is I'm trying to teach you something that is more complicated than we need for this class. I mean, even the most complicated break-even analysis is really simple, but I was trying to teach two different things at the same time because I kind of got ahead of myself. So the first thing I want to cover is break-even analysis as it actually applies to this class. And the general thing that you need to know is that in this situation, everything is really a fixed cost. And the reason for that is we're operating on a very short time frame. So it's very unusual that anything would be a variable cost. And we'll talk about variable costs in a minute, but first we'll talk about just fixed cost. Now our break-even point would then be fixed cost divided by price, because the price is everything we're going to get, and since all of our costs are going to be involved in our fixed cost, it's just going to be fixed cost divided by price, and that will give us our break-even in units. And that looks like this. Okay, we just take our break-even point will equal fixed cost, that's total fixed cost, divided by price. So if we spend a total of $2,000 on whatever it is we do, including advertising and marketing, and there are 4 people on our team, we're going to pay each person on the team $100. So we'll say $400 for people on the team, so that's $2,400, and we're selling a product that we're selling for $100 a piece. So then our break-even point equals 2,400 divided by 100, or 24. The numbers can be more or less complicated than that, but that's how you determine it. Now, let's erase all this. That's not a super efficient way to get it done, but we'll do that. Alright, that's good enough. And we'll talk about the actual formula for break-even point, which is fixed cost divided by price minus variable cost. And this is price per unit, variable cost per unit. Now, what that would look like is if we had ongoing inventory that we were using. Our ongoing inventory might have a variable cost associated with it. If we were selling coffee mugs, our variable cost per unit might be the cost of the mug, which is $4 or whatever. So in our example that we just used, we're going to have a break-even point will equal our fixed costs, which, let's say our fixed costs are still $2,400. But in addition to that $24, we're paying $10 per item that we're going to sell. So we're going to sell it, just to make the math easy, we're going to sell the item at $110 minus our variable cost per unit, which we just said is $10. So whatever it is we're selling for $110, we bought for $10 and we're selling for $100. And our break-even point is still going to be 24. I hope that that's a simpler representation, a simpler way to discuss it, and I hope that that helps us out. Now, some other things. Let me zoom back out and turn that around. Okay. Some other things to consider is you're going to be coming up with your product ideas, and when you do, you might get this calculation that we just did, And it might tell you that, hey, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought, or hey, there's no way to make money. Remember, we did an example in class where we had to keep raising the number that we sold to get to the point where we could actually make money. So there are three variables in the equation. There's the price, the fixed cost, and the variable cost. So obviously, if you're in a situation where this doesn't work, you can try raising the price, you can look for ways to reduce the fixed cost, and you can look for ways to reduce the variable cost. Now, like I said, in this class, all of our costs are going to be bundled together. Our variable costs and our fixed costs are bundled together. But one of the ways to reduce your variable costs is to buy in larger quantities. I think I showed you that you buy something, and if you just buy a few of them, it's very expensive. But if you buy a lot of them, it's less expensive per unit. So that's going to be one of the main tools that you're going to have to be able to determine whether or not your idea is going to be profitable. I hope this helps, and if it doesn't help, we can devote more class time to it. We can sit down and talk about it. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you in class.